2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code Hawkeye and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and the best daily promotions in the business. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matters more than ever. Place your money line, prop, and parlay bets with the king of sportsbooks today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus to wager. Iowa only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
This is the time of Sunday where I usually say, "What's the deal, Panther fans?" We know what the deal is as the Panthers suffer a third consecutive loss, 30-27, as they fall at home to the Seattle Seahawks. And the deal is that this looks like just may be the end of the Panther season. Or when it comes to, at the very least, I think we have a bead on who this team and who they aren't or isn't. And I'm here to figure out what they is and isn't with Cody Lashney on the C3 Seahawks at Panthers post-game show. Cody Lashney, there's no how you doings here, but thanks for hanging out with me at this point.
No problem, man. If I have to watch the Panthers get beat up on at home, I'd rather cope with my man Tony Dunn and our faithfuls in the YouTube chat. I guess ain't nothing to it but to do it, man.
Thank you for joining the C3 Seahawks at Panthers post-game show. You can be a part of the show by calling in 252-228-5098. We want to hear your reactions to this heartbreaking loss. It sucks, as Carlton Cohen says. We also like for you to give us a thumbs up, turn your phone to portrait mode, share the show, hit the thumbs up. Everybody in the chat, doesn't cost you anything to give us the thumbs up, because right now we're giving the thumbs down to the Carolina Panthers team. If we could also get a thumbs up that our audio is working in jest or in tune. Holy cow. James Woodley comes in with a donation of $10 to the show to lift our spirits. How fantastic is that? Thank you, James Woodley. Big shout out there. We needed that. Wish we could have won by 10 points. All right, Cody, let's go ahead and jump into this because we know everybody's supporting in the chat room, on Facebook. Share it in the groups. Retweet it if on your Periscope. Panthers show some things. They continue to be the team that we've seen for the last 3 weeks. And every Panthers loss, I'm starting to think the 5 losses that this Panthers team has suffered are really indicative of what this team truly is. Katie, I know you were particularly upset after this loss, or are particularly upset.
Yeah, I mean, I felt going into this that this one was the must-have. So as of right now, if the season ended, we're not even in the playoffs because now the Seahawks are 6-5 and they have the tiebreaker. And when I was watching the Saints on Thanksgiving, I remember being so frustrated. Like, I don't want to pull for the Falcons, man. All those close games that we played, we have to win those. I don't want to be in a situation where I have to pull for other teams to lose in order for my team to have a chance. I mean, we're not taking care of business. I mean, we're not a playoff football team. And that's not even just raw emotion off of the loss. This is what happened in Pittsburgh. This is what happened in Detroit. Honestly, this is what happened early in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia game too. I mean, there's so much inconsistency on this football team. The defense, you cannot depend on even a little bit to stop the run or to be able to stop the big play. I mean, every time a team needs a big play down the field, they have it just about whenever they want. And that's unacceptable. I mean, Tony, I think it's fair to say that both you and I have tried to stay with Ron Rivera for as long as possible. We've been defenders of Ron, but then this season, I feel for me has shown me that he's not going to be the coach that's going to bring us to where we want to go. And I just don't believe he's the man for the job. And I think it's time for a few coaches to be fired and a few players to be moved on from.
Well, if you're going to fire Ron Rivera, it's time to clean house entirely. Unless you are the coach, you're the owner who sees potentially Marty Herney continuing to be a balancing force in this process, then I think it's not helpful enough to just fire a coordinator on defense or fire Norv Turner, because the offenses seem to be the most the most positive component of this. If you are going to start firing people, I think it's time to make a wholesale change entirely from the top down, including GM, bring in his guy with a vision of what this team could be going forward. So, yeah, I think that coaches have to be on the table here, but this is a loss, too, that belongs on the field a lot, too, to the players, Cody. We continue to see the most reliable kicker in Graham Gano never make kicks when it matters. We continue to see players blow assignments and miss plays. Corn Elder asked a lot in this game, put him out there early on because of a Dante Jackson injury. He struggled. They targeted him. And I think he just played like a guy who hasn't had a lot of reps in game scenarios at game speed. And then you also go to the other side of the ball on the offense and some real problems down in the red zone when it comes to just maybe Mike Shula infiltrating the play calling on these short carries. But I do want to be critical of Norv Turner in those play calls. But at the same time, I do feel like, hey, go get a yard. Go get a yard. And that I just feel like we're getting beat up on all sides of the ball. And Cody, at this point, I just don't think we're a very good team, sadly.
No, I don't think we are either. And listen, I wanted to say this last Sunday and maybe even last Tuesday. And I feel like it's not going to be as controversial now as it would have been then. But I'm just going to go out and say it. If everyone disagrees with me and wants to drag me over hot coals, feel free. I'll be the whooping boy. I don't believe there's a whole lot of difference between Norv Turner and Mike Shula. And I'll tell you why. I think that Mike Shula didn't have the personnel that Norv Turner does right now. But if you remember back even to 2016, I mean, we were doing the end arounds and the gadget plays and the reversals. We were trying to do all that even with Russell Shepard. But it just never ended up working out. And I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing Norv Turner be so successful with it, is now he has a DJ Moore. Now he has a healthy Curtis Samuel. I mean, really, if you look at early in the ball game, on the goal line, we're just constantly running the ball in goal line situations. I mean, it's unacceptable, man. And no one is taking accountability that after you run the ball and run the ball and run the ball and nothing happens, maybe do something different. Maybe throw the ball in the end zone. You don't have to run in goal line situations all the time. And personally, I just don't believe at this point that Norv Turner is that much better than Mike Shula was. I think he has better players at his disposal.
Well, I disagree. I do think that Mike Shula is, that Norv Turner is significantly better, but I think you have a point too, is that there is, there also is much more explosive talent to take advantage of. So I don't want to knock Norv Turner for having the players he has. That's, I guess, where I'm at on that. I do think, look, Cam Newton was starting out 14 for 14 or 13 for 13, and you don't have the confidence in him to throw the ball. I think maybe says something, but I do think that we are soft. We're soft in the trenches, offensively and defensively. And it shows that in these opportunities, you couldn't get that 1 or 2 yards. I am kind of disheartened with the play calling, even if you're calling runs, that we should, maybe why aren't we using Cam Newton in those situations more and more? So a lot of things to chop up, but I do think that we would be remiss to focus on Norv Turner in some ways, or actually that's not even the right word selection. I think that Norv Turner may not be the greatest thing. And I can understand where you're saying in that case, is we've seen some moments of inconsistency on his part. But really, this comes down to a defense that can't stop a shopping cart being blown through a parking lot at this point, and a team that is not being properly either motivated, coached in some ways on both the defensive and the head coaching side, and special teams mistakes. So, look, we've got a lot to talk about. We'll still continue to talk about those things, and we'll give you our input on those matters. Continuing to thank all you guys in the chat room for your support again. James Woodley coming in strong with another donation, says this: missed opportunities, fail to put points on the board, and inconsistent. We watch film and correct the problem. There's your press conference. Yeah. Is that is he gave it verbatim to us what the Ron Rivera press conference is happening at this moment. Look, you can be a part of the show. You can join us on Shindig using the app or the link in the YouTube comments, or you can call into the show 252-228-5098. We got lots of calls and opinions, so we're going to go ahead and let you guys steer the majority of the show. Let's jump into these calls, Cody.
Yeah, this is Jeremiah out of Swansboro. I just got to say, the even year curse is real. I didn't think it at the beginning of the year, but the more and more I watch this team this year, it's got to be something. It's got to be. Keep pounding.
The even year curse, Jeremiah, and he said, did he say Swansboro?
Yeah, this is Jeremiah out of Swansboro.
Yeah, Swansboro, North Carolina. Jeremiah, thanks for the call. One of the things I think that's interesting and intriguing about this is the Carolina Panthers look like they're going to squander the potential for the first time ever having back-to-back wins. That's really disappointing. I mean, back-to-back winning season, should I say. Cody, this is a team that is not very good at this moment, but that we believe should be better and was in a position to remedy this problem. Not happening. Even year curse.
Yeah, and it sucks because, you want to break that even year curse at some point, especially since the Panthers have never had back-to-back winning seasons. But hell, I mean, listen, you all know I'm a college football fan. I'm already looking at players, man, and a lot of the good ones, we might not be in position to draft those players unless they're in a free fall, and we're picking somewhere in the 20s. So, I mean, as it might suck, but it might benefit us to have a 6-10 record, and lose out. Now, obviously, as Panther fans, we're not going to pull for them to lose every game. But I don't know, man. I try not to be superstitious and believe in curses and this and that. I believe that you control your own destiny. And the fact of the matter is, we're just a bad team right now.
Somebody's calling in somewhere on this show. on my computer or something.
That's me.
Well, all right. So, yeah, I mean, you don't want to give up on this team, but Relly Rel in the YouTube chat says this season is over. He also went to say, and, a lot of people calling this. Look, a lot of comments right now on Facebook, in the YouTube chat. We appreciate that. Let's keep going through with these calls right here.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? This is G. Cavassier. I just got done watching that game. I'm going to say this right now. Fire Graham Gano. Release his ass. Get rid of him. This motherfucker cannot make a damn field goal to save his goddamn life, man. We had that fucking game. I'm sick and tired of us doing nail biters, and this asshole cannot make a damn field goal. They need to get rid of his ass, for real.
We're not a family show when we lose.
DJ Moore played his damn heart out today.
No, we're not.
McCaffrey played his damn heart out. Cam Newton did good. He came to the special teams, and this asshole cannot make a daggone field goal. Fuck Graham Gano. I said it. Florida State. I'm an ACC fan too. Fuck Graham Gano. He needs to get the fuck out of damn Charlotte for real. That's all I gotta say, man.
All right.
I feel you, G.
Yeah, there's some real
frustration, man.
Real frustration with Graham Gano, and I think it's legitimate. It's not. I don't even have to think it's legitimate. It is legitimate. Graham Gano has only won one game for us in his career, and that was the 63-yard field goal. Today, he had an opportunity to make up for a lot last week and put us in a better position to close this game out. He misses the 52-yard field goal and puts them in good position to turn around with a minute and 10 seconds or so left. Graham Gano, I think, has worn out his welcome in Charlotte, particularly this season. But I've been salty about this guy going back to the Super Bowl with a missed field goal. Tough winning that 54-yarder, but still, we need you in these clutch moments. That's what you're paid to be, is clutch. All right. The number is 252-228-5098.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the Black Cat, Brandon Herbert. A little under the weather, not just from this cold, but from nothing. Whatever we had, if you call that a team, like I said, I'm not even mad about this game because, like, I want us to lose out. I don't even care about the playoffs anymore. We're not going anywhere. This team is atrocious because of this coaching. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And then, no good. Like, I don't get it. We have the same mentality. We have the same play. And then, what's going to go wrong? Christian McCaffrey has game of his life. DJ Moore had a game. Yet, it's all for nothing because I just don't get it.
Like, I feel like Brother Herbert wants to cry
fucking
right now.
job.
I feel like he is crying, man.
The only thing you have to do is kick.
Yep.
And you can't do that. It's baffling. And I told Cody, which, by the way, let me clarify, that whole thing did not lose the game, but I told him, as good as he was moving the ball, that interception would be costly. You say what you want. Every Panther fan you can look all over Twitter, is saying that was a bad decision by Cam Newton and not a great ball. But yet you can't see that. So I'm going to drop that because
a better tight end makes that play. I've seen a million of them do it.
But she really agrees with a lot of the stuff that he even said that was a bad decision. I don't get it. Like, we moved the ball so efficiently, but then we did stupid crap. Like we just let little stuff affect us. And it makes no sense. My head is killing me. Like this, maybe if I just stop caring.
Brother Herbert, I hope you feel better, for real, though.
But anyway, guys, I'll try to listen to the show. Y'all have a great evening and keep pounding.
Yeah, so listen, man, I kind of already, after the Pittsburgh game, I kind of got to that point where it's like, all right, man, after these Panthers games, if we lose, I cannot let them ruin my day, man. Or I will be hardcore depressed. So, yes, Brandon, we hope you feel better, man. You and I go back and forth, and you say I'm a Cam Newton apologist, and whatever, maybe I am, but I still think that even though it wasn't the best choice to throw that football, I've seen contested balls like that come down with before. I've seen Greg Olsen make them. It wasn't that far behind him. Manhurts even got his hand on the ball, but it kind of goes back to North Turner. Why is Manhurts on the field? Do y'all remember that we drafted Ian Thomas, a tight end out of Indiana? Like, where's that guy at? Is that another Curtis Samuel situation where it's another young, talented player that we just refuse to play? I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not. It's tough. Listen, if that interception was on or wasn't on Cam, it doesn't matter because homeboy was balling. He went 12 for 12 early. I mean, Cam Newton was throwing dimes all around the field, man. So it's like, listen, there wasn't one play. I mean, you might say that Graham Gano missed field goal, but there wasn't one play that cost us this game, just like in Pittsburgh and just like in Detroit. It's a multitude of errors by our players just doing absolute dumb shit and just stuff that is baffling. And our coaches don't know how to make it better. 3 games in a row we've lost, and we're seeing the same problems. That means either our players aren't good enough or our coaches don't know how to coach them up well enough to fix it.
I think it's a little bit of both. A lot of great comments going down in the chat rooms. Justice Phillips says, Coach Ron Rivera never takes any personal responsibility for anything. He always blames someone else for his failures. It was Ron who hired Eric Washington and allowed him to destroy this defense. On Facebook, I saw another good two big comments here. Jeff Sand was talking about, hold on, let me find it. Jeff Sand, there's so many, they're coming in fast, said it's time to ultimately promote, go ahead and fire Ron Rivera and promote North Turner to head coach, right? And so this is, at this point, this is scary for Ron Rivera there. He also said something to the effect, he said, fire Washington and Rivera will intern as defensive coordinator, right? So these right now we're seeing this is that when you have players who are making plays at times, particularly on this offense, we've seen probably the most explosive Panthers offense. Honestly, I think this offense is more explosive and more dynamic than the 2015 offense. But then there's still problems, and that's not enough to put us over the hump. And when it's that close, I do believe that a lot of this ultimately has to fall on Ron Rivera. I like that comment from Justice, though, a lot about Ron Rivera, because I felt like after 2015 and we made the Super Bowl run, we saw a distinct change in the way Ron Rivera has approached the press conferences. And he doesn't tend to fall on the sword like he did the years before and say, this at the end of the day comes down to me. I've got to do better. Right. Instead, it's players not making plays. And that may be the case, but I do think there is some necessity for him to be a fall guy in these moments. But we do remember now, Ron Rivera probably is really coaching for his life from this point on in the season. And I don't even know if he's going to be able to do enough to save his job. I do think we got another call from Brother Herbert. We hope you feel better. Let's go to it.
J-Dub. I called this weeks ago, months ago, Tony. I told you this is the 2014 season. I mean, we're like a 7-8-1 team, and it's so sad because a lot of it isn't the players. I would say most of it isn't the players. This coaching has gotten so bad, and I was arguing with people on Charlatron's halftime thing. I was like, dude, that first drive was the worst ever. Like, oh, we did great. We went down there. Did you lose on downs and you do 2 quarterback delay draws in a row, get 3 yards? I just don't understand the play calling. I don't understand the psyche. You're going for it when you're at home. You could have just got 3. And Gano, again, is my hero. This is absurd. We are a way, way better team than what it shows. Like, and as coaching, that's coaching. I mean, Ron doesn't have you guys ready. They still have game management problems. They're still messing up, losing, wasting timeouts. I don't understand it. Like, we've had those problems for what, 7 years now? Something like that. Ever since Ron got the team, pretty much, we've lost the ability to clock management and timeout management. I mean, I just really don't get it. There's no reason for us to be at the records and at the place we are now. I mean, we play to our competition every week, and it's just sickens me because we are a way better team than this. We just play to our competition. Like, if you're a shittier team, we'll play shittier. If you're an awesome team, we'll play awesome, but we never pull it out. And we put ourselves in bad situations. Like, we played one of the most complete games we played all year, and guess what? We still lost. It was bad. So,
yeah.
I hate to say I told you so, Tony, but I told you so. I mean, this is that 7-8-1 season. This was our chance. We came out strong. It's just, you think Detroit was heartbreaking or Pittsburgh was heartbreaking. This one is demoralizing, man. You can't lose at home like this. You just let no league know that even if you're good or bad, you can beat them. Cleveland's going to play soft, or the Buccaneers going to play soft. Ain't going to happen.
Great call from J-Dub. Great call from J-Dub. There's over 50 people watching right now. We've got 62 people watching. 12 thumbs up, guys. Turn your phones to portrait. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the show. We appreciate it. Call in. The number is 252-228-5098. And right now, again, coming back to head coaching here, Ron Rivera hasn't done anything to make us win at this point. That is, I think what we're starting to do is we're winning in spite of Ron Rivera, not because of the coaching staff. And I'm going to use Ron Rivera to capture all of the coaching staff. But on top of that, we were in a position to dominate this game at the very minimum, be in control of it. Graham Gano missed a big kick for us. That is something that hurt. But there are other missed opportunities, in the words of Ron Rivera earlier in that game. Can't win a challenge to save his life. All of these things are coming back to Ron Rivera and the coaching staff here. Cody, I think that his point was that you thought Detroit was demoralizing on the road. You thought on the road at Pittsburgh was tough to swallow. At home, playing from ahead most of the time and playing in very advantageous situations here today, the Carolina Panthers couldn't contend. And the defense, I think it was Daniel Duncan maybe who pointed this out, and I'm going to get it wrong probably, but Dante Jackson going down hurts this team a lot. And that's scary given that he's a rookie, a second-round rookie, and that he is that critical to our defense being effective.
Yeah, and we have no depth at the cornerback position. And I want to say something while it's fresh on my mind. I see Underground West in the chat saying fire Captain Munderland, Corn Elder, and Graham Gano. And while I might understand Captain Munderland and Graham Gano, but and even Captain Munderland, Corn and Captain, they're not outside corners. But yet, since we had no depth, we have to play them there. So as soon as Dante Jackson goes out, I mean, Tony, we've been wanting to see more of Corn Elder all season. But then the minute that we see it, he's forced to go in at a time when he's not expecting it, at a time when he's not even playing at his rightful position. That's why I'm not ready to just absolutely dump on Corn Elder. Captain Munderland, even though he was playing on the outside and that's not normally his position, dude, you're a veteran of how many years? I mean, come on. That field goal that they had to win the game, that was all on Captain Munderland blowing a coverage. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just infuriating to me, dude. I don't understand how you've been on our team that long, and that you will still let up that big of a play. And it seems like this year, every time we do let up a big play or a big third down conversion, it's always on captain. You know, I'm in 100% agreement with everyone else. I'm ready for Captain Munderland to hit the road. He's a South Carolina fan anyway. What can I say? I'm not a fan of those guys. Oh, and another South Carolina guy, Demir Bird, got hurt. And I think
probably going to be the end of Demir Bird in Carolina as well. I'm thinking if he can't come back from this. Patrick Chappelle on Facebook says Rivera's gone. Tepper isn't Richardson. He wants to win these, and these last 3 games have been a disgrace. Going over to the conversation in YouTube, focusing on Corn Elder and Captain Munderland. I think this is going to be a good segue for this point. And it was Relly Rail said, "Why put Corn on an island on 4th down? Give him some safety help out there." I think I think Corn Elder was put in a difficult spot today. Obviously, he was on the bad end of some plays at times. But you know what, Corn Elder, I am optimistic about this, is he was on the outside doing some of those things that are really difficult for him. And he was there. If he could feel the ball a little bit more at that point and turn around on both of those plays, he stops maybe 2 potential touchdowns or big plays at that point. I think that I am optimistic at this. I'm not so down on Corn Elder at this point, even though it was a tough game and he's going to be easy to target. There was another play earlier in that game that he took some flack for missing a tackle, but I think it was Captain Munderland who missed the initial tackle and Corn struggled to clean it up. So going to Captain Munderland here, look, we want to like Captain Munderland. We don't want to dog on a player that has contributed this team in some significant moments in the past, particularly his first run with Carolina. But he struggled last year, and it showed that with his coaching staff that he was not necessarily gelling particularly. He's been put and given a lot more responsibility this year and been, they've said, hey, all right, we're going to buy into this. We need you on the field in the nickel. And he has not played exceptionally well. He's made some plays, but he's missed a lot of plays. And that last play with Tyler Lockett, first of all, Captain Munderland is going to always be torched by Tyler Lockett. But this wasn't a torching of I beat you athletically and we knew one-on-one what was happening. This was Captain Munderland didn't think they were going to go down that deep on the field, I guess, at that moment. He lost track of what Lockett was doing. He did try to play the ball, but found himself about 10 yards behind it. So I think that what we have seen is that the weaknesses on this defense have been too big at some points to be balanced by some of the strengths of that defense. Maybe an Eric Reed being added to this team, maybe Dante Jackson showing out in his rookie season, and Luke Kuechly, while he continues to play and well, and Shaq Thompson well, they haven't been enough to overcome some of those problems that we have. And I don't know if it's just that we that outmatched in personnel wise on defense, or at the end of the day, is this us not being totally zeroed in and focused enough, then coming back again? Now I'm going to have to say I can't defend Eric Washington, but so much anymore.
Yeah, I do think that we are overmatched. And I think specifically it's in the defensive backfield. When you have one player that goes out, I mean, the cards come tumbling down. And it really lets you know how important Dante Jackson has been to our defense this year. I mean, even in his first year. As soon as you lose him, they're putting Munderland in the wrong spot and, Corn Elder in the wrong spot. And, it forces everyone to have to do things that they're not expecting to have to do. And our front seven's been really disappointing. I think Luke Kuechly had a very nice game today. But other than that, and I said this in the Detroit post game, it doesn't matter what team you're talking about. If it's Atlanta, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Detroit, you name it, they're going to run the ball on the Panthers. They're going to run the ball on us. And it's not like we're even stopping it that well. And I feel today we did it better than we had in the past, but we're not stopping it well enough. And when we stop one thing, we just completely miss on the short passes and throws. I mean, there's no synchronicity on our defense right now. And it's so uncharacteristic of what the Panthers normally do. Eric Washington has been a problem, and a lot of people have been a problem. So I'm not heaping it all on him, but absolutely he's a part of the problem, and he sees it too. They even said in the broadcast, look how many times we were blitzing. It's like we were blitzing to generate our pressure, because otherwise we're not doing it just with our front four and maybe a rare Julius Peppers, blow up the middle.
Yeah, you're right. And this is basically the problems of last season were not remedied. We did not get stronger on the defensive front. We had these problems last year. I thought Mario Addison played hard. I think that, like you said, is that while those problems have been tremendous for us this year, they weren't even that big for us today. And a lot of times I felt like we were winning some of those battles on the defensive line. But when one thing goes well, another thing goes wrong. You had Shaq Thompson and Luke Kuechly playing well, and then right when they're playing so well, then they don't. Luke Kuechly with a big penalty on the face mask, that was problematic. Shaq Thompson, I thought, had one of his better games of the season, but I'll have to ask some of the tape gurus today. There was that one play where the running back, I think he took it to the house or got down to the one early on, and somebody said, why is nobody's on this dude right here? And I think Shaq should have shaded over at that point. Wes Horton was trying to drop into coverage, and I don't think it was planned that way. I think he was reacting to the play. I wanted to see Shaq Thompson shade to his left, our right in the camera angle, and that would have helped. So even our best players aren't playing playing great at times. Now, while a lot of people are mentioning tackles, I think I do have to be the first person to point out to the refs this week. And I'm not blaming this loss on the refs or our troubles on the refs. But, boy, I felt like there was a hold on every play on that that Seattle Seahawks offensive line, and they just did not call any holds today. And I think we also kind of got screwed on when Wes Horton jumped. I felt like he got back and set. And I don't think a guy who's a receiver pointing counts as enough movement it was a tight end who was standing up. I don't think that counts as enough movement to signal an offensive sides. Now, I don't know the rule book as well as some others, but I think we didn't get any breaks today. And on top of that, with all the greatness we had on offense, a lot of butterfingers when it comes to holding the ball. A lot of this could have gone south further quickly if we didn't recover some of those. A couple of fumbles, 2 by McCaffrey were problematic. We didn't get any breaks today at the same time.
Yeah, we didn't. And how about on our opening drive? We all know Cam made that. Cam made that extra yard on 4th and 1. But then there's not enough evidence to overturn the call. Listen, this is like, I even tweeted this out. Follow me on Twitter at Cody Lack. I even tweeted this out that, whenever you watch the Saints play, dude, they're getting every single call on the face of the earth. They get away with holding penalties. They get away with everything. But it's like, even in our own stadium, the referees have to call everything to a gnat's ass. Dude, it's just so annoying, man, when you're having to fight the team you're playing and the referees at the same time. It's just bad, man. But as bad as the referees were, it wasn't on them today,
Yeah, it's not on them. And J-Dub called me out in the chat room, deserved. He said, no breaks. We recovered 4 fumbles. I guess, there were no breaks other than that. But, yeah. All right, the number's 252-228-5098. Let's keep pounding with these calls.
All right, this is DJ calling in. I'm gonna try to keep this profanity out. This season's over.
The season's over.
It's over.
We keep finding ways to lose games. Defense can't cover anybody. Get no missing kicks. Christian McCaffrey had a monster game today, and was all for nothing.
Sounds like Brother Herbert.
Like, now Seattle owns the tiebreaker. We're not beating the Saints. That's pretty much 2 losses right there. So, Yeah, it's keep pounding for life, but this season's over.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Everybody do the wide open downfield. I don't understand it. Eric Washington needs to go. I don't know what's wrong here. Something needs to change.
There's too many things that are wrong. Thank you for that call right there. And Legacy Lines, our friend Lynn says, will Tepper see out?
His birthday is today, by the way. So happy birthday to Miss Lynn.
From the C3 podcast. I would send you my typical, a lot of our Panther brethren, I send a picture of Ron Rivera holding happy birthday balloons. But that would be like that clown from It showing up at your birthday party at this moment. Interesting question here, though. Will Tepper see the end? I mean, will Rivera make it through the end of the season? And I'll go ahead and turn that to you, Cody.
Say that one more time. Will Tepper?
Will Rivera see it through the end of the season? And will Tepper say it's time to go ahead and fire everybody at, week 15 and go ahead and start that search?
So listen, it's the $1 million question. What David Tepper thinks, I mean, if only to be a fly on the wall in his offices, wherever he's watching the football games from, or maybe in the stadium. I don't know where he's residing at the moment, but knowing his background and knowing that he's a Wall Street guy and knowing that he has, the guy literally has a set of brass balls, and yes, I mean testicles, on his table. The guy has bravado, and the guy likes to do things his way. And he believes that his way is the best way to do things. And we have a coaching staff and a front office right now in Carolina that he had zero say-so in at all. And I honestly think that this was their season to prove to David Tepper going forward that they are still the guys for the job to help this Panthers team be a return on his investment. So if I'm a betting man, I say David Tepper isn't happy with anything happening here in Carolina right now. The play of the players, maybe even some of the players that we've drafted. And I have a hard time believing that he has any shred of confidence in this coaching staff. Because honestly, why in the hell would you? Listen, you don't make $11 billion,
by just going off of,
by playing it safe, man. And the pool of coaches this year isn't that large. So if you want the upper echelon of coaches, you have to get a jump on them, man. You have to kind of start that wooing process, so to say, So it's certainly possible, man, that we're seeing the final days of Ron Rivera here in Carolina. It's certainly possible.
All right, the number's 252-228-5098.
What's up, guys? It's Chase Fuller from Hickory, North Carolina. I'm sorry. A 63-yard field goal can only carry you so far. The guy's done. He's done. That's 12. That's 9, 10, 11, 12 points that he's left out there on the field that we haven't brought home yet. Not on top of that, I'm sorry. You got to give up on Eric Washington. You got to fire him, dude. He is trash. And nothing. That play, Cornelder. I think he thought he might have had a push-off call or something.
I agree.
I think you got to make the play. And then Captain Mutterland. Don't even get me started. But let me know what you guys think. We should have easily won that game, especially the way our offense was playing. Our defense was trash, fucking trash. Sorry for my language.
Yeah. I'm with you. The moment has turned where there is no defense left, right, for Eric Washington. He's not part of the solution at this point. There is no solution. I do think you're exactly right when it comes to Corn Elder, thinking he did get a push-off call. The guy was holding him back or holding him off, but at the same time, he didn't turn around. And you're right, is you just got to make the play, and he didn't. So no kudos, no excuses there. And then you go to Graham Gano, and that he had an opportunity today to kind of bring back, this is what this, and maybe this is good news, folks. Maybe this is finally good news, is that, instead of Ron Rivera pulling a win out today and then maybe finding a way to upset the Saints once, then get into the wild card and get booted out in the first game, but being enough to save his job, maybe these are the final nails in the coffin to a sense. And I think that goes for Graham Gano at this point as well, is that he today could have, set us right back to where we've been, which is, he's pretty consistent. He's got a hell of a leg. And yeah, he's missed a few kicks, but he can, he wasn't able to rewrite that narrative today. Instead, it just continued to be missed opportunities. And I'm so mad that I even just said that, Cody.
Yeah, because you're so tired of hearing Ron Rivera spout it over and over.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a great call. Thanks for listening to the show. The number's 252-228-5098.
Jeff Hodge here again. Just finished watching Graham Gano miss the field goal, knowing all the well that Seattle's going to go down and Janikowski's probably going to kick the field goal. And there it is right there.
Yeah.
He's watching it. I
don't know what we're doing here. It's obvious that our defense is not the same. They are never in the right position. Very rarely. The only time they are is when their speed makes up for it, or if Luke Kuechly recognizes the play. I don't know if you guys noticed during the game, but Ron Rivera was twice, I saw him yelling at Eric Washington while the defense was on the field. I don't know if he was yelling a play call to him or what, but their body language today tells it all. I don't know what we need to do to fix this, but something's got to be done because we're not a playoff team. We're a playoff offense, but we're not a playoff defense. Thanks, guys.
All right, so, I mentioned this last week, Cody, is that if anybody is going to fall first, to be felled first, it will be Eric Washington. And right now, if that is the case, if we are seeing that frustration from Ron Rivera with his coordinator, I think Lynn said that demote him back to his previous job of D-line coach and maybe Ron Rivera take over. But I would not be surprised, and I am almost willing to put some money on it, that Eric Washington becomes a casualty in a Ron Rivera save face effort. And that is, now it's time. I tried to do it, and now Eric Washington is out. I'm taking over in an effort to shuffle some of this to a first-year coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, that's not too far off, but I mean, even still. So, like, all right, we've seen this sentiment of, okay, well, then we know Ron is good at defense, so just demote him back to the defensive coordinator. Well, there's a reason why that doesn't happen. I mean, then you've already hired other defensive coordinators and other people to do their job. So then do you fire a few people just to demote one? And another thing that we need to bring up. Yeah. Okay. So then we need to bring this up too. And this is a little bit inside football, but we're talking about, we might hire a brand new everyone, right? Maybe a brand new general manager, a brand new coach. When you bring in a brand new coach, normally they will take people with them, people that they want to put in specific positions. So, for example, when Steve Wilkes left Carolina, he brought our linebacker coach to Arizona, and he brought, I think, one other one. I don't remember off the top of my head. So this notion that you're going to demote Ron Rivera, leave him on the Panthers at another position, and bring in another head coach, that's not reasonable. And that just isn't going to happen. I mean, if this is a situation where David Tepper has to decide, does he just want to rip this Band-Aid off now and get that pain over with of bringing in a new coaching staff and doing all of this right now? because there's not a way that you're not gonna, have to do some major rehauling on a lot of our front office and coaching positions that doesn't require firing a good number of people that have been pretty tenured here in Carolina.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, is that right now, I do think is that it may be time to rip the Band-Aid off, unless for some reason the Panthers are able to win out at this point, which is is one of the most improbable things in the world. Is that right now we just kind of are where we're at in many ways.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised again if Eric Washington becomes a guy that Ron Rivera deflects some of this, the heat, passes the hot potato to a little bit. It could buy him a little bit of time in some ways. But I don't even think that would be enough. I truly think that these last 3 games have been, a bad enough performance in a lot of different ways that says, hey, it's time for a completely new show here. Now, there is one person in the YouTube chat room that disagrees. His name's Michael Grief, and is really saying that really we're giving this team and maybe some of these guys too much grief, that we've been one kick away now a couple of times. I do think that, look, is that we've been there in some games, and we've had, as Ron Rivera said, missed opportunities. True, that is on the players. And there have been a lot of problems on the players, but you're not going to definitely move on from your stars. And I just don't know if keep doing the same thing is the solution. But he did say, and I think that this is something Michael Grief said something I think that is worthy of merit. And this is, while this season may not, to me, I don't believe that this season we have a legitimate playoff, an opportunity to go deep in the playoffs when you're looking at how good the competition of the Saints, the Rams, and some of these other teams that are playing really well and hey, let's throw the Bears in there at this point. I don't really think we have what it takes to be an all-around Super Bowl team. We might have thought that into week 3 or 4, but there are some positives. You continue to see I think the 1, 2, and 3 positives that we have seen this season have all been on offense. I'm going to say number 1, DJ Moore has been tremendous these last 2 weeks, continues to just be a baller out there. Caught a bullet from Cam Newton, runs up the field, turns immediately upfield. He is, in 3 years, he could be like potentially the best receiver in the NFL if he continues to produce in this manner. Number 2, Christian McCaffrey has been exceptional this season. He's been dazzling. And then number 3, Cam Newton has been tremendous. Cam Newton has done all the things that people have criticized him of the past and said that he has not been able to do. He has taken a lot of responsibility at the podium. He has increased his accuracy, his throwing, his completion percentage. He has reduced the turnovers. So I think there are some things to be optimistic about. Curtis Samuel being one of them, but some real kind of things that have also hamstrung us too, Cody. So while those things may be exciting in their own right, in the future context of where this team could be, it's really we started 6-3. We started 6-3, or even 6-2, or something like that. We just have dropped and fumbled the ball. So I think that there is also a lot of things to be like, hey, it just hasn't been enough either.
Yeah, it hasn't been enough, and I go back to 2015. And recently I've been mulling over the idea of a window. And is that a real thing? Do you have a certain window of time with a certain, set of players to win a Super Bowl? And I remember, Denver in 2014, they got destroyed in the Super Bowl by the Seattle Seahawks. And then 2 years later, they were back in the game and they won the whole thing. I think that there has been a failure to put the pieces around at the right time. There have been a lot of different. This is like now you're seeing the end result of what has been a long time coming. You're seeing some draft picks that haven't panned out. Vernon Butler is still invisible. A first-round draft pick, defensive tackle, nowhere to be found. There's all these. There's a confluence of circumstances that has come together that shows us that this team isn't anywhere near as close as we thought that they were. And that's disappointing, man. We've been strong earlier in the year. I feel like we had some great showings. We showed heart in that Philadelphia game to be able to come back and win on the road. But the fact that you're not able to win on the road, I mean, that is such a huge problem for us, and we just don't do it. And if you're not a good road team, that tells you about your defense, because defense travels. And if you look at Chicago and, Los Angeles, even though they have a ton of points put up on them, they have pieces on that defense that right now we just don't. And even though we're moving in a direction where offenses are more high-powered than ever before, the defense still wins the championship. And this defense is not anywhere near that.
The number's 252-228-5098. Be a part of the longest-running Panthers podcast. Have your voice heard by calling in the show, participating in the chat. And we're going to keep pounding through this free therapy together here on the couch, the Panther couch. Get on. Here's the next caller.
Hey, fellas. This is Mario from McQuay, now in L.A. Just giving you a call. I want to give you my initial thoughts after watching the game. And I want to talk defense with you because the secondary is just, a nightmare. I'm coming off of the game, but I got to tell you that I'd give Eric Washington, Corn Elder, and Cap Mudlin their walking papers right now because that is just not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. And I feel like watching the defense play over the past couple of games, I feel like the Pittsburgh game was like the Philadelphia game where Delhomme got exposed, and every subsequent game has been some further evidence to tell us that it's shot. Delhomme was shot. The secondary is shot. And not that I've got the answers on what needs to happen, personnel, schemes, etc., but something's got to change. And it's also disappointing, guys, because we just lost 3 in a row in November, and you know that you're not ready for the playoffs. We're not ready for the playoffs. If we make it to the playoffs, we're not ready. We're a one and doneer. So it's just frustrating, and you can hear it in my voice and the tone of this call. Anyways, keep pounding, guys. We'll keep our heads up anyway. Take care.
That's Mario Marcioni. Yeah, that's my dude right there. And really the guy who told us to do the cat calls. He said, you guys got to do this. And we did it, and it's been the best edition of the show. A lot of frustration there. I do think this is we can continue to defend. We can continue to excuse. But in some other places at other times, in other markets, that teams that also have had some success, they would make some drastic changes, at least visible changes here. And Eric Washington right now, I do believe, could be the fall guy. Maybe it's fair, maybe it's not fair, but he's going to go before Ron Rivera goes. And don't be surprised about that. Now, Captain Munnerlyn, Corn Elder, I'm going to give Corn Elder slightly a pass, but you know what? You got to get out there. You got to perform. You got to make the most of your opportunity. Look, Curtis Samuel has on his side, right? So, I mean, it is guys can go out there and make big plays, but as P Money said in the chat room, this secondary looked lost without Dante Jackson, and that's sad. That's sad to me. Because I think that Jonte Jackson should be an exciting and pleasant surprise, but not the anchor of a secondary in his rookie year. James Bradbury, up and down, makes a good play, blows a play. It is frustrating right now, Cody, and there needs to be something done.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said already, I think that there will be something done. I'm hoping that there will be something done. And I hate to dwell on the past, but damn, dude, it bears saying, man, how many years have been wasted of Cam Newton's career? I mean, yeah. I'm talking a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. And this year, he's playing better than ever. And Lynn mentioned this in the chat, and I just found it on Twitter, that Cam Newton was sitting at his locker with the towel draped over him and his head, he had his hand cupped in his hands, devastated by the loss. And he would go on to say in the press conference, 3 weeks ago, if somebody would have said this would happen, I would have slapped them. So Cam is frustrated. When you have a once-in-a-lifetime player playing out of his mind, it serves as a cold, cruel reminder that, Cam has his faults. No one's saying that he's perfect. But for all of the faults that Cam Newton has, he has been so completely underserviced in his time here in Carolina, with subpar receivers, average offensive line play, and just having to make plays all the time when he is our only form of offense up until recently. So, I mean, that's why when you get back to saying, something has to happen, right? Something has to happen with these coaches. Yeah, man, for Cam Newton's sake, I hope that something happens. I hope that we have a general manager that knows how to hit on draft picks consistently and knows how to win in free agency and knows how to manage the cap to bring players on this team, both on offense and defense, to help out and bring that Super Bowl home. And right now we don't have that. And we're wasting the prime of what I believe is a generational quarterback. I don't want to talk about Cam Newton the way people talk about Donovan McNabb, who I thought was always kind of underrated for what he did for Philadelphia. But it's unacceptable at this point. We have to do right by number one.
Yeah, and anybody, there's no need to really place anything on Cam at this point. If there's anybody that has put his heart and soul into the team, into being believing in the coaching staff, to now being a company man, essentially, and has put his body on the line, and his play is just, he's not ever been part of the problem. But you're right, is that you have not done enough to capitalize on it. And if we don't start doing something soon, Cam just can't win games. We're starting to see maybe some signs of that with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, that these parts could come together. But then you start to think next year you're going to have to replace a center, a left tackle, potentially a left guard, all on the offensive line. Maybe one guy, maybe the left guard stays, and that's the only thing out of that line. And then you look on the defensive line, and you're talking about 2 defensive ends. You're talking about adding a lot of help at the safety position. There's a lot of holes, and a kicker now, right, that have not been able to be filled properly and adequately. Look, we've got tremendous record-setting numbers for the C3 podcast right now. We appreciate your support. The number is 252-228-5098. Go ahead and turn your phones to portrait mode if you're on YouTube. Smash that thumbs up button. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that like button. Share it in a group or with your friends. We have been doing this strong every week on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. since 2013. Haven't missed a Tuesday, and the post-game shows have been a great addition because of your support. Call into the show using the number 252-228-5098. Let's queue up the next call.
Hey, this is Jeremy, second-time caller. Called in last week as well. The offense this week, it was night and day. The running game was going. Cam looked good except for the one interception he tried to force. Other than that, the offense was great. Negatives of the offense. we're in the red zone. You got to put the ball in the end zone. Settling for field goals against a team like Seattle with a quarterback like Russell Wilson isn't going to win you the game. Not with how our secondary's been playing, but like I said, Cam looked great. Christian McCaffrey is the running back we drafted. He's a versatile running back receiver. That's how I look at him. Hard for the defense. Run-wise, great. Front seven looked good. Stop the run. We got pressure on Russell Wilson early. It died off. Big key to losing the game. Dante Jackson goes down the first quarter, first series, actually. And Cornelder is just god-awful. He is terrible. Secondary's got to pick it up. I mean, they single-handedly honestly lost us that game as the secondary. Getting burned after getting burned after getting burned. Tackling, they look great. They did a lot better tackling. Some of the tackles yet. But like I said again, we're now 6-5. We are sitting in the 8th spot. We are the outside looking in. I'm looking forward to the season. We've got Tampa Bay and Cleveland. If we lose one of those games, our season's over. Win both of those. New Orleans comes to Carolina, probably going to get our asses handed to us. Atlanta comes to Carolina, division game, who knows? We go to New Orleans. They might not have starters in. That's a winnable game because if they've already clinched number one seed, no reason to start your starters. So, like I said again, horrible, tough loss to take today. Got to rebound next week. You got to beat Tampa. You got to beat Cleveland. So we shall see. All right, keep pounding on the next week.
Yeah, this is really a heartbreaking loss, Cody, because any kind of and you're seeing this from Cam Newton's comments. You saw it. Look, he kind of laughed when Captain Munnerlyn blew that coverage and it was over, and not laughed at Captain Munnerlyn like, dang, we can't pull anything out. He's going to talk this week about finding ways to win. But I think that you are seeing the writing on the wall, or already have seen the writing on the wall this week for this year and this team. And maybe too much success going further doesn't put us in a position to quickly and adequately address our needs. But no one wants to talk about tanking. No one wants to talk about giving up. But right now, let's just be honest. We can say Ron Rivera and the players can come out and say, look, it's any given Sunday. If we can make it into the dance, we can do something. But right now, when you put this team up against the New Orleans Saints, a Los Angeles Rams, a Kansas City Chiefs, or a Chicago Bears team, you don't have a lot of faith right now. And it's not even faith, because that acts like it's on us that we don't believe in the team enough. Is that right now, those teams are hot as all get out and just lights out in so many areas, and we're totally not lights out.
No, we're not lights out at all. And that's another thing, man. People on Twitter, oh, you don't believe in the Panthers, you're this and that, you're not real fans or whatever. No, listen, we're allowed as fans to call out what we see, and we're doing a show. So it's especially our job to point out all of the negative things that we see on the field, and to also just be honest with everyone that as of this moment, this is not a contending football team. This isn't a championship team. And look, let's be real. We're 6-5. We're still in the hunt. But based off of what we've seen the last 3 weeks in a row, it doesn't instill any confidence. We've seen now a bunch of different scenarios on the road and now at home where we weren't doing the things that's necessary for a football team to do if you want to make a playoff run. I mentioned it, I think it was last Sunday or Tuesday, I forget which one, that, the Giants won a Super Bowl being the wild card, and I think they were 10-6. What I'm saying is even though I don't remember a lot about that season, I don't know if, this team has the wherewithal to be able to pull it together and right the ship in that amount of time. And on top of that, have a bunch of teams in front of you now that need to lose. I mean, if they don't lose, it doesn't even matter if you run the table. I mean, now we don't control our own destiny. We need stuff to happen.
A friend of mine said a good buddy of mine said this weekend. He said the Saints are putting away teams in the first quarter. That look, at the end of the day, in this case, when we're looking at how good other teams are at this point versus how we have so many weaknesses. The one thing the Carolina Panthers have not done this season that I thought we had started to learn last year was find ways to win. Cam Newton said this in the press conference last week. We've got to find ways to win on the road. We got to find ways to win these games. And as Jeremy pointed out, there were some times there where you're in the red zone and you couldn't find a way to get either a touchdown, to get that conversion, what was necessary at that point. So as a team, I feel like this is a team doesn't have to on every week show you what it takes to win in the playoffs, but they do have to show you some signs that they're continuing to get better either from week to week or even in these close games that they lose, that the problems are fixable and rectifiable. But these problems at this point are just repeatable at this moment. So you can be a part of the show by calling in 252-228-5098. Let's keep going through these calls. There's a lot of them.
Yo, this is Papa Brigham, Wilmington, North Carolina. I've been happy since the beginning game. And I just wanted to say, man, don't feel down about this game, Carolina Panthers fans. We're gonna be all right. You want to know why? Learn more in the loss than doing the win. Three of them, back to back to back. I'm gonna check and see when the last time that's happened, but that's terrible. To be honest, I wasn't gonna watch this game, but I watched it because I'm a diehard Panther fan. And at the end of the day, I just wanted to see my boys go off. I wanted to see Cam go ham. I wanted to see DJ keep doing his thing. And of course, Curtis Samuel do his thing as well. And they all did. So I was happy to see that. It's just really unfortunate that they were able to do all that and we still lost the damn game. Ain't really no excuse for that. I remember back in the day, just wishing we could get a touchdown and being so happy when we did, knowing that the defense would be stout. Nowadays, when we score a touchdown, I almost know that the other team is about to come right back with a touchdown. That's happened so many times, and it's happening now. Everybody's on that fire, Eric Washington, and I want to get up on that train too. I feel like he did good the first quarter. After that, things kind of fell off. The secondary was exposed. Corn Elder is a liability. That play that he had, man, he let that man completely open. He never got his head turned around. He grabbed him anyway. Corn Elder cannot see the field no more. We got to do something about that. We got to get some pass rushes, but overall today, the defense kind of let us down, It's
30
really
points.
Talk to Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton and everybody else that did their thing. Don't feel bad about this, y'all, because we're going to learn, we're going to figure out our identity, and, we might be out of playoff race, we might not reach the playoffs this season, but it's looking bright because we got some weapons, Keep pounding.
I like in one way this is that don't let this loss cripple you as a fan but there are so many unanswered questions and so much uncertainty going into the future. The good news though is teams like the Rams, the Bears have been in similar positions to this in recent years and have quickly turned things around with a change in philosophy, a change in attitude, and a change in just emotion. One thing that somebody pointed out this week, and maybe it was Cody, you retweeted, or we were talking about it last night on Twitter, and that is Marty Herney was at the Oklahoma game on, what was that, Thursday or Friday night? Friday. And I think a lot of people immediately go, hey, he's scouting players out there. And I'm saying, look, maybe my man is scouting Lincoln Riley, a guy who has that youth, that offensive kind of insight and creativity and ability to get a lot out of an offense, much like a Sean McVay has been in Los Angeles. Now, I think that's a long stretch for what I'm saying here, but going back, Cam Newton has been tremendous. Christian McCaffrey, as J-Dub pointed out in the chat room, is something that we can build an offense around in the next 3 years. DJ Moore, very exciting. So you're starting to see some things that we haven't had in the past. But boy, this defense, every time they have a chance to punch a guy back, they have just been punched right in the nads.
Yeah. a bunch of time, and that's why it doesn't instill confidence moving forward. When you have teams that and I think we've said this before, we're kind of front runners. We'll get off to a start, and then we then just kind of flounder. And if they're able to stop us first, but then we're going to be in for a hell of a football game. And I think, you can mention Philadelphia, but that was kind of an outlier. None of us thought that we were going to come back and win that game in Philadelphia. And I think the fact that we did, it kind of, gave us a false sense of confidence in what this team was able to do in adversity situations. But yeah, there are plays that don't go our way, and then there are calls, by our coaches that are just kind of unfathomable. You don't know what's happening. That's why I am hopeful that not only do our coaches get fired, just being honest, but I want us to have an offensive-minded head coach. And this is another thing that we haven't mentioned yet. I don't know if we've been on since Ron Rivera said this. Ron Rivera watched the Monday Night Football game between the Rams and the Chiefs. And then, they asked him what his thoughts on that football game were. And he's like, I'm not a fan of it. I'm more of a 7-6 kind of guy. Ron Rivera, our coach, said that. And that's so frustrating and so indicative of the philosophy that I believe is on our coaching staff. So, yeah, what's the name of the guy from Oklahoma, the former ECU coach?
Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, let me tell you, man, I'm not mad at someone like him being a part of the Carolina Panthers. I'm just hoping that he doesn't bring that Oklahoma defense, because that I don't want. But the offense that they employ, yeah, I'll definitely order up some of that.
Thanks for joining the C3 podcast. Smash that thumbs up button, share the show. Let's keep going on with these calls.
Hey, guys. That game sucked. But I think it's time to probably start tanking the season. I know the even year curse is real. Everybody's like, oh, no, we'll get over it. But the even year curse is real. We never have back-to-back even win the seasons. It's just a thing with our team. Just, it happens, get over it, whatever. I think this game really showed what our offense looks like without Funchess. It was very run heavy today. Probably the most run I think we've done all year. And
McCaffrey was gassing.
Everybody was thinking without Funchess, Samuel and Moore will have time to time, but they pretty much got the same amount of touches that they would get in the game otherwise. Funchess, love him or hate him, a lot of people hate him, but he is what he is. He gets down the field, he catches the ball, he gets first down. That's it. I'm tired of all the Funchess hate.
He dropped 5 balls.
We need him in our
week.
offense. Hopefully he gets back next week. I'm not really confident in us going to Cleveland and beating the Browns. They've been playing pretty well this year. They just
if we lose to the Browns, nobody should come home.
The Bengals this week.
Except for the guys
we'll see what happens next week. But keep pounding, guys. We got 4 more years of Gano, luckily. That's
good no. Oh no, good no. I hope that is not the truth. All right, so one thing though I'm going to disagree with that call is that Funchess dropped 5 balls last week, right? He has been anything but been able to go down the field and catch the ball consistently. He's not been awful all the time, but let's go ahead and point this out, Cody, today. We're missing the guy who has the most experience on this team as a receiver. Cam Newton had his best day today as a quarterback, arguably. And this offense did not look like it was missing anything. Unlike if you look on the defense, when Dante Jackson goes down, the defense goes, oh crap, we were missing Funchess this week. And you would not have, at no point did I feel like the Panthers offense was less of a threat.
Yeah, listen, and I'm halfway in between you and our caller. So I don't think Devin Funchess is trash. And yeah, he had a terrible game. I don't think that's the normal for Devin Funchess. Like I said, if you had to pick between Devin Funchess and Kelvin Benjamin, you're probably taking Funchess, right?
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in my mind, Devin Funchess isn't going to be worth the amount of money that he's probably going to request. And yeah, you make the best point. Is that, Cam Newton had another fantastic day without him. And he got the ball to his younger, faster wide receivers. So, yeah, I could very easily see a situation where Devin Funchess is not on this team after, at the end of the season. But I do want to say this. So that caller brought up tanking. And you never tank. I mean, as a coach, you never tell your players, all right, we're throwing this one, boys. We're
right. Unless you're open.
We're on even them, they're tanking by just trading away all their talent.
Right.
I mean, yeah, there's never ever going to be a scenario where a head coach will tell you that we are going to lose on purpose. But what I will say is this, and I've been having a conversation with P Money in the chat, saying that there aren't any football players in this draft that will change an organization. And as someone that follows the draft, I can name off a ton of them. And I did in the chat room. Now, whether or not we'll be in the draft order position to pick up some of them, that might be a little different. But there are undrafted players every year that go on to start for a football team. I mean, you never know what a player is going to end up being until you put your coaching staff around them and kind of tune them up a little bit. But there's absolutely players in this draft. I can name off maybe 8 or 9 of them right now that I would love to have on this Panthers football team, man. Let me tell you, and this is an early insight into what I'll do on the show come draft season, but I'll preview some draft picks as I was doing in the cat calls. But one of the players that, listen, if we traded up for him, and it would be a ton, I'm not even mad. That's Jonah Williams, the left tackle out of Alabama. That guy is a demigod, man. That guy lets no one by him. He's strong on the run. And, I'm tired of wondering if a speed rusher is going to blow up Cam Newton, So there are players in every draft that will transform your franchise. But do you have the general manager and the scouts around them to identify the talent? But that's all I'll say about that. But we'll never tank for draft picks. We're going to fight out the rest of the season, and it's going to be what it is,
Well, you don't want to win a couple of games and look, I don't want to lose any games, period. I would love to win out. But at the end, right, if you're not truly going to have an opportunity to make a run, and you do know that you have some we're talking big holes to fill. These are offensive tackles cost a lot of draft collateral. Defensive ends cost a lot of draft collateral. It may be easier to negotiate the draft if you're in pick, say, 12 to 17 than 22 right, to 25. And I know that doesn't sound like a ton, but maybe it does affect you in a second round, your ability to move into the back end of a first round and target a guy that could be where you double dip in a way and then get somebody in free agency. Yeah. What the good news though is that some of the really good teams are so far ahead that those guys' draft picks are going to really be solidified in the 25 through 32 have already been solidified just by how good some of these teams are out there. But I'm interesting. We'll look ahead to the Cleveland Browns, and if you get beat by the Browns, and we said this is after the Steelers game, we looked worse than the Browns did. If we get beat by the Browns, is that you're really talking about the end is here for everybody except for those stars that we think can bring us into the future. The number 252-228-5098.
What's up, man? This is Coltrane, classic Coltrane from Twitter.
Shout
What's
out to
up,
the
my
best
man?
Final
What's up,
Fantasy
Coach
podcast.
Ryan?
Chronicles. Love y'all. Love the show. I'm gonna keep this short,
Appreciate it,
short
man.
and sweet. Number one, I hate to be this guy, man, because I hate when people do this. I pick and choose my opportunities to do this, but I'm gonna say it, man. The referee was terrible. Kawhi Short got held every single play, man.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, I'm not that guy. I don't complain about referees too often, but this was pathetic. I mean, like, the dude's arm is like wrapped around his shoulder pad, and Kawhi can't get free because he's being held. Like, it is blank. It was pathetic. Two, Bradbury is not a number one corner. And this leads me to my next point. If you're going to have awful pass rush, you better have an awesome pass coverage. If you have bad pass coverage, you better have an awesome pass rush. The Panthers have neither.
Yep.
And that's a recipe for destruction. And then on top of that, we can't really stop the run that well. That makes matters worse. And so if you look at the season holistically, we just never been able to put together a complete game. The offense shows up and the defense shows up, and we play together. We just don't do it, man. That's pretty much all I got. Fire Ron Rivera. Fire Graham Gano. Fire the hell out of Graham Gano. Shout out to the best Panthers podcast.
Man, thanks a lot, Classic Coltrane. We like you so much, we might even bring you back for another call.
One other point I had to make, and I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry Coltrane again. How in the heck? And I'm not a football coach. I'm not a football savant. You guys seem way more versed in this kind of thing than I am. I'm just legitimately curious. How in the hell do our cornerbacks pay 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, but we still get beat deep? Someone please explain that to me. I'm applying logic to a situation. I'm applying common sense to a situation. I just need this explained to me. Is it scheme? I don't know what it is. Thanks. Bye-bye. Love y'all.
Appreciate the call. Numbers 252-228-5098. Turn that YouTube screen to portrait mode. Smash that thumbs up button. We're here on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m., doing this show live each and every week. Good or bad, we'll be here no matter what to keep us all together through the good times and the bad. Here we go. Keep pounding with these calls.
Hey, Coach. This is Christopher Kelton. I was just calling a comment, man. I don't know. We got to get some draft picks or something, man. We're looking real bad out here. And this was a game that should have been won, just like the Detroit game. And I guess it's the curse of the Pittsburgh Steelers. When we lost that game, we have not been the same. And something's got to change, man. Something's really got to change. I'm one of those frustrated fans right now that just can't put my hands on it right now. I mean, Captain Motherland, he was missing a lot of things. I don't know if he was missing in action or he just got blown out on some coverages, maybe he's showing his age. And somebody get him some Geritol because he needs to go to. And we got to get younger and we got to get faster. We got to get the people we need and stuff in the draft and stop. You know, I don't know. And we're going to need a kicker too. So, all right. That's all I got to say. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. Lots of calls tonight. We're going to keep going.
Well, we just missed an opportunity. Well, there's some situations where guys had opportunities to step up and make plays, and it didn't happen. Yeah. We had chances where, we had an opportunity to put ourselves in a good position to win that game, and it didn't happen. Oh, that sounds familiar. It's starting to sound too familiar every week, week in and week out. I mean, it's bad enough where we're out of the playoffs. We ain't going. What's left is try to just shoot for a winning season so we could say, oh, well, at least we got back-to-back winning season. Oh, boy. Take that to the bank. Hang that banner in the damn stadium. Put that up there for everybody to come see every week at freaking Bank of America.
Ouch. True.
Oh, guys, I think Ron's done.
The truth
Washington's
stings
done.
Sometimes.
And I hate to say it, but Turner will probably end up having to go with him. But it's a shame because I like Turner. I think what our offense is doing is spectacular. Keep him as an offensive coordinator, bring in a new head coach, bring in a new GM, and, coach's pay doesn't count towards the salary cap. So I expect Tepper to go out and shop. I also kind of expect to see, at least some kind of upgrade situation even if it's not this off season, but in the future for practice facility. I get it. There's a lot of teams that practice outside, but a lot of those teams that practice outside, quote unquote, have a facility where they can go inside. They have the ability or they have the option. So, all in all, the offense looked pretty damn good today. A couple stalled drives. That's really, the offense is the shining crown of this team, and everything else is crap right now.
Yeah.
It's crap. We're talking about playoffs? No way. No way. We don't even want to go to the playoffs. Why? So we can get the shit kicked out of us the first round. We're going to go get our asses handed to us by the Cowboys or the Redskins or whoever the hell happens to freaking make it in there. I'm good with that. Y'all have a good one. Keep pounding.
Yeah, I think he's right on. Really, throughout that call, the offense is the shining star. The one thing that we will probably just say is that while I've been a big fan of Norv Turner, the acquisition, what he's done for this offense. But if Ron Rivera goes, everybody goes. I'm talking, because maybe it is time to bring in, like Cody says, in this era where you have a Cam Newton, where you have a Christian McCaffrey, as someone that has the aptitude and the desire to make one of those, to make the team into something that we just haven't been in the past. And that is just because we haven't won that way in the past doesn't mean that isn't a good option for us. But he does go forward. And I want to say this is it's not even about tanking at this point, I want to ask you this truly, Cody, is we play the Bucks in Tampa. Then we go to Cleveland. We're on a 2-game road trip. Right now, I think the Bucks are the team that we have the best chance of arguably beating. They're just in collapse. But the Browns today put up 35 points against the Cincinnati Bengals. They are playing. They're getting a little confidence, a little excitement there. So you got the Browns. I would be surprised unless we just completely demolish the Bucks. This is a pick'em game when you get to Cleveland at this point, given the record the Panthers are there. So you're talking one game you're favored, maybe on the road at the Bucks by maybe a field goal, if anything. Then the Browns is a pick'em. The Saints, they've got to be like 10-point favorites at this point in Carolina on Monday night. Then you got the Falcons, where, hey, the Falcons have played under their potential in many ways, but they're going to play us tough late in the season. I don't see a lot of games here where we look like we should win them on paper even.
I'll tell you what I'm worried about in that matchup. Myles Garrett on Chris Clark. Ew, that makes my butthole clench. If I'm being honest, don't make it too visual. Listen, man, I mean, they beat the. Look, how about this? This is the only thing you need to say. If the Browns beat us, then we're the Falcons. And you don't ever want to be the Falcons, folks. But the Falcons lost to the Browns. And right now, if we don't fix some things on the road, we're going to lose to the Browns too. But again, it goes back to how much trust do you put in this coaching staff to actually fix things? And yeah, I just don't, I don't know, man. I don't want to be a pessimist. I don't consider myself a pessimist, but I do think that we're just being honest and being real at this point. This is not a team that we believe is going to turn it around and do great things moving forward. If they do, man, I would love it. I'm happy if that happens, but there's no reason to think that they will. And on the road, yeah, I mean, we're on the road in Tampa. You know, that's a tough game. I think both of those games are tough games, man. And I think that Baker Mayfield up in Cleveland has finally hit his stride. He's a good quarterback, man. And they have playmakers around him. So, yeah, and Nick Chubb, I called Nick Chubb too. I said he was the better of the backs, the Georgia backs between Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. I said it. The yards difference between the two of them was a fabrication. Nick Chubb is a beast, and I'm more worried about him on that offense than anyone else because he is a monster.
Yeah, there's no need to even use the term tanking, guys. No, we're not tanking. If you lose because you can't win, you're not tanking at that point, right? Here's the deal is that we should beat the Bucs. The Browns is a game that you would like to think 4 weeks ago would have been, a shellacking on us on them, but our teams have gone different directions. We've gone down, they've gone up at that team. But still, even at that point, you put us if we won those 2 games back to back, you're talking about a team that is 8 and we would have 8 wins at that point. But then you got to play the Saints twice. If anybody realistically thinks that we should beat the Saints the way we've been playing at this point, that's just homerism at its finest. Now, to say that at any given Sunday a team can go out there and pull a win, I'm not saying that's not the case. But at this point, there looks like there are 3 losses on the schedule for the Carolina Panthers and 2 wins left. So that puts you at 8-8 for the season. That's not taking, folks. Tanking, that's just not enough. And I don't know if you got enough to what it takes right now to win a win against some of those teams. Nick Chubb, huge fan of that guy. He was tremendous in Georgia. I was with you on that one. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, what's up, C3? This is Nova Black. A little bit after the
What's
game.
up, Nova?
I'm not sure if I'll make the post game call, so I'm just gonna say this. I don't think we played that bad of a game. I think our defense hurt because we lost Jackson. They was going out to Corn Elder. The boy need more practice time, more play time, more time to develop, obviously. He got the physical abilities, though. It's just once he gets the cerebral game, he'll be a little bit better. But Jackson been eating it up. Monolin been eating it up. It's been a rough game. The defense, all right, a little bit better, but not too bad. Seahawks is all right. Offense, I think we did pretty good overall, minus the fumbles, but I think it was a pretty fair game. We lost. I think it was a couple downs there that we could have called different plays instead of all of that running. When Cam was killing them in the passing game, I just don't see why stop killing them in the passing game. I think we have gone from being a wild card spot to in the hunt spot in the rest of these games. We can turn it on. Somewhere along the line, I think there is the possibility that our guys is like a week behind all the other teams in gelling. When I say gelling, I mean gelling, properly speaking. And I feel like I think this is the week that we actually get it together. We played against a pretty decent team in the Seahawks. We lost at home. We on, I think, a 3rd straight loss. And the next game is where we get it together. Everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, boy, Carolina in the slump. And we wake up and crank it up, and everybody have a good game. At least I'm hoping for it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. My take on the game. It's a loss, a must win, but I don't think we out the hunt. And I think that if some things will still go our way, if we can just crank it up the next game, man. And after the next game, I'm going to keep pounding, but, man, I'm going to be talking trash.
Yeah, I think here, let's go ahead and put this out. A lot of people, and this is the conversation you're going to have on a negative, post-game show at this is, are you being too hard? Are you being too down? Or, and he said is that the law, we didn't play terribly at this point. And that's what Ron Rivera need to be telling his team. And that's what the team is going to have to be telling themselves. But what we're here to say too is, while we were in this game and look, you could say that about Detroit. You could say that about the Seahawks game. You could say that about the Redskins game. You can say that about the Falcons game. 4 of our losses right? Is that you could say, hey, we were in a position to win, we didn't play terribly. But just like I've said in the past, if we would have won those games by a field goal, nobody cares how you won the game in week 16 when you're going into the playoff game. So at the end of the day, on the reverse, I think is also true, and that nobody cares how you lose the games. Is that this loss is just as detrimental as a blowout by Pittsburgh, and maybe even worse in so many cases, because this put this, like you said, now we are in a place where we're not in control of our destiny. You've got teams that are going to be sneaking up in the wild card. Thank God the Falcons lost. If the goal is to get a wild card spot and to continue to just have some winning ways. But right now, the idea that you're going to win a majority of your games when you got to play the Saints twice, a Cleveland team that is surging, and an Atlanta Falcons team that is really upset. I'm going to tell you this is the Atlanta Falcons. They know that they've squandered a lot of opportunities, and it's not going to hurt them that bad. They're going to have to hurt our feelings. That will be something that is the case. The number is 252-228-5098. I think Nova Black is coming back for some more.
Hey, C3, it's Nova Black again.
What's up, Nova?
I guess I ran over the limit the last time. I ain't gonna keep everybody. I shared what I had to say. But the only thing I wanted to finish with is that, man, I don't think it was that bad of a game. It was a loss that came down to play calling and I'm gonna say a little bit better clock management. And I think the defense with little minor mistakes that we shouldn't be making. I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses for this game. I think we had a good game. And at the end of the day, hopefully we get it together next game.
All right.
And that's it.
We appreciate the call, Nova Black, but the game was not good enough for me. And it did not end. Graham Gano kicks that field goal. We squeak out a win. We say is that this team is finding ways to win. We say that this team is all of a sudden an offensive team where, and that they're going to be able to pick the defense up, but the defense has enough veterans, enough, kind of savvy to find ways to win at the end. You look at the Detroit game, there's some argument that they did that as well. They put our offense in a position in the fourth quarter to win. The whole narrative changes if you win this game. But the fact of the matter is we didn't win this game. We didn't find a way to win. The responsibility falls on all facets of the game. The offense's inability to convert and score touchdowns early in the game when there were some opportunities there, the defense's inability to get a stop when it matters at times, and Graham Gano's inability to hit a kick when it matters. All of those things, they are a reality at this point that would not have been the reality had we won the game. But we just haven't won these games, Cody. And right now, this team has lost 3 in a row. It is not getting better. There is not a lot to just say, look, this is all hands on deck. Everybody grab a pail and start bailing before this ship goes down. But right now, we're sinking fast.
Yeah, and
all right.
I mean, I listen, I do appreciate the honesty of Nova and all these other guys and the optimism. And listen, man, I hope I'm so wrong. I hope that we're all wrong and that we end up pulling it together and, figuring out what we need to do on offense and defense and make a play. I want this team to win the Super Bowl every year. We all want that. We all want this team to be successful. And yeah, we did some good things today. I mean, today wasn't a dumpster fire, but what you saw was a team that let go too many big plays when they mattered and failed to convert first downs when they mattered, and kickers that weren't clutch. And, that's what it boils down to. The game wasn't absolutely terrible, but it wasn't a good football game either, not by any stretch of the imagination.
All right, 2 more calls to go.
Okay, this is Mel again. I know my last call was a little bit sarcastic, so I wanted to call and do a bit more of a serious call. Today was one of those games where we
did a lot of things right, but it was a couple of things that went wrong that it just ended up costing us the game. Us trying to score on the first drive and trying to get a touchdown and not going for the field goal in the first drive kind of hurt. And I don't want to put it all on the defense, because the defense at the end of the day did enough to win us or have us able to win the game. So it wasn't all on the defense. Not all on offense, obviously, either. I do think our passing game was a bit anemic, other than Moore and a couple of catches by Samuel. It seems like we didn't have just the right guys out there sometimes. I don't know if it was, but of course, Christian McCaffrey and had a great game, both catching and running the ball. So that kind of made up for not having Funches out there. It's rough. I put on Facebook, I jokingly that I just kind of wish at this point we missed the playoffs so we can get a better draft pick. Because even if we are able to win these last few games and then get to the playoffs, I don't know if we are playing good enough football to compete in the playoffs and we'll end up having the 24th or 27th pick again, where we can't really capitalize on our draft pick. It's just the thoughts that I guess were going through my head. Still Panthers fan, still Panthers for life. Keep pounding. I do think we should keep Ron Rivera for at least another year, simply because he's been up and down, and this is probably going to be considered one of his down years. And we just have to come back next year swinging. Now, if we do have a bad year next year, then maybe that's the time where Tepper should say, hey, okay, we should change things up. The Ron Rivera era is over. But, I mean, overall, if you look at his full body of work, Ron has been doing pretty well here. We just need to get everything clicking to get it done.
Here's the
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a ton for that call. Here's the problem with keeping Ron Rivera, where that maybe we feel that way in some cases because we have seen some of our franchise's greatest success under Ron Rivera. Super Bowl run, several division championships. One thing, though, that has been uncharacteristic of a Ron Rivera team, and I think it was who said it in the YouTube chat, was JT Live said, look, we've had a terrible November, right? But I'd like to remind that, Tepper was not here for those good years. Last year was the year that Tepper saw the best of the actually, he didn't even see us last year. He has not seen any of the body of work from what he's going to be reviewing. So I don't know if that sentimentalism, that Panther fans, that kind of, hey, you flip a coin 10 times, and if you get 8 tails, you're bound to hit a heads at once next year. I don't know if David Tepper would have that same sort of approach and sentimentalism. He could go and look at this and say, look, this has been broken from the very beginning. Marty Herney hires Ron Rivera, then Marty Herney gets fired. Dave Gettleman comes in and and keeps Ron Rivera, much like we're suggesting here, because you don't necessarily feel like he's done anything that he is the only reason for your problems. But then Dave Gettleman gets gone. Marty Herney comes back. Ron Rivera is still around. It's up and down. There's uncertainty surrounding. Maybe it's like this, is that none of that. That's also going to be in the data he assesses as well, just as well as the success Ron Rivera has had at this point. So I don't know if Ron Rivera, I truly think Ron Rivera at this point is a coach that may be coaching for his life. And I'm starting to wonder, can he coach himself out of this like he did maybe in 2012 and 2014 with strong Decembers? I think you have to beat the Saints once, maybe twice, to make that conversation real.
Yeah, and what it boils down to for me, and Tony, I remember you, me, and Joey were having the conversation of, really, Ron Rivera is a mid-tier coach. He's not bad. He's not a bad football coach. But if he's not the team, or if he's not the coach that's going to bring us to the promised land and get the most out of our football players, then he might as well be in that bottom tier because he's not getting us to the point where we need to go. And one of the reasons why I'm on the fire Ron Rivera train more than ever, again, it's not that I think that he is an absolutely god-awful football coach. I think there's enough evidence to prove that he is not, but it's his philosophies are the ones that I don't agree with. Like, the way he views football, to me, is kind of backward, and I don't think that's the kind of mindset that's going to bring this team to a championship, especially in this current age of NFL football. I think you need to be aggressive at just about all times. You need to want to put up points whenever possible. And I think that you need to be able to really switch up between your rush and your pass attack. And I think that Ron Rivera believes, and I know he believes it because he said it, that you run the football to set up the pass. And that's true, but it also works both ways. And I feel that there have been games where he's committed to running the football when he shouldn't be. And that's why I'm also putting a lot of this on Norv Turner as well. I think we need a newer, more lively view of looking at how Panthers play football. And I don't think Ron Rivera is the man for the job anymore.
Well, he did mention this last week, is that the way the NFL is set up in this, the way the rules have gone, is that it's much harder to win in that manner. You know, is that it's just not as easy. In the game is being stacked in for the offense, in the rules and in the style of play. And then teams are embracing that attitude. So the question is whether or not you want to be a defensive team or not at this moment, is that it's just getting harder and harder to do that in this NFL. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't think you need to just forget your defense, but at the same time, the defense has not been top 10 this year. It wasn't top 10 last year. And so is that if you are going to want to win in defense, you've got to be ready to smash these offensive teams in the mouth and win that. And we just can't at this point. So that might be a good theory if you want to win that way, but it's not the way that we're winning at the moment. And we're just not winning at the moment. So look, Ron Rivera said that, and he's let some of these things. He is a defensive coach. That is what he's going to think and want. But I'm trying to think now, if you look across the league, what defensive coaches are having great success in this league at this moment in the long term. And I think it's becoming more and more difficult to do it each and every week. All right, we got the last call of the show queued up right here.
Man, I think it's too late in the season for us to do anything, because I think Ron Rivera should have fired Eric Washington right after that Steelers game. And he's prolonging it like he did last year with the offensive coordinator, with Mike Shula. He's going to wait all the way to the off season just to fire Eric Washington. And if he's going to keep doing it, he might as well leave too. I think he's a problem, man. I mean, he gets a relationship with him and don't want to let him go, which would be the right move. Because Eric Washington sucked, man. And the defense old too, but this just absolutely sucks.
He mentions that the defense is old there, and I think that one of the things that, as people continue to say, look, is that if this team can coalesce late, just make it into the playoffs and they can make a run, that is something that could happen. But honestly, right now, that would require the defense to catch a third win, and I don't know if they ever had a first win, W-I-N-D, this season. So you're asking guys who are long in the tooth to get better as the season goes on, and they might mentally be able to get better, but physically that's a lot to ask. Eric Washington, I would not be surprised if he does not make it, if he's going to be the defensive coordinator next week. But I do think that I think we're seeing potentially right now, unless a real miracle occurs in these last 5 games, that the Ron Rivera era may be coming to an end.
Yeah, and Tony, I feel you've defended Ron Rivera a lot over the years,
I have. I've been a fan, to be honest.
Yeah, I have too. And see, that's another thing, man. Like, from all the interviews, I like Eric Washington. I like Ron Rivera. I think Ron Rivera means a lot to the players on this football team. I believe he has been a good morale coach. And again, it's nothing personal against any of these people. It's just that as football fans, you want the big shebang, and I think what's toughest about this whole season and situation is that not only is this happening to us now, but it's looking like the Saints have everything that they need to win the Super Bowl this year, and it's hard to see who's going to stop them, So, again, it's no ill will on any of our coaches. We understand they have families and stuff too. But if you're not getting the job done in the way that you should, then, yeah, it's time to see what else is out there and move on to something better.
Michael Jones in the YouTube chat room says this. It might be the comment of the night. Rivera is like Moses. We need a Joshua to take us to the promised land. Right? Hey, biblical references all around. And, that is holy, just like the C3 Panthers podcast on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. is a place where Panther fans come together, right? We coalesce. We keep our identity. We may be 40 years right now. This feels like the 40th year of wandering the desert at this moment, folks. But we will find the promised land. We'll find it together. And Tuesday nights, we're here to keep that cultural identity of the number one Panthers fan podcast here every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Cody, there will be a ton to say at that time. What is, in the meantime, if they want to snipe at you or compliment you on Twitter, how can they find you?
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC. I go by Codeus on Twitter. That's just the name on the Twitter handle. But yeah, I'll talk about anything with you, man. From sci-fi books to football to Clemson to Panthers, whatever it is, man. Hit me up on Twitter. Let's do it.
Justice Phillips, I can't stand Ron Rivera anymore. The guy holds back the young talent, never take responsibilities for his failure. I also saw 89 J Stubbs said, we've seen what Ron Rivera has for 8 years, and he has been propped up by Cam Newton. We got lots of stuff to talk about on Tuesday. My name is Tony Dunn. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Thank you for joining us together on the Panthers couch. Record-setting numbers on the post-game show tonight. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, we're all there. You can find us on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search C3 Panthers Podcast, and we'll pop up. 9 p.m., the number is 252-228-5098, and you can have your voice heard on Tuesday night on the realest, the livest, the dopest, the most self-promoting podcast out there, the C3 Panthers Podcast. It's been a miserable day, but it's all right, folks. We're going to get through it. And like they say, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
Subscribe to the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or anywhere you can catch an RSS feed. Check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com for the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective.
Great cash, homie.
Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code Hawkeye and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and the best daily promotions in the business. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matters more than ever. Place your money line, prop, and parlay bets with the king of sportsbooks today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. BetMGM.com for T's and C's. 21 plus to wager. Iowa only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.